The late afternoon sun cast a warm golden glow over the bustling streets of downtown Arlington. Pedestrians hurried by, chatting on phones, sipping coffee, their lives moving in sync with the familiar rhythm of the city. On the corner of 14th and Wilson Boulevard stood Marcus Bennett, a man whose presence commanded attention without a word. Marcus was in his early 30s, a tall, lean figure with smooth, dark brown skin that shimmered faintly under the sunlight. His closely cropped hair and deep brown eyes reflected years of disciplined service and quiet strength. Today, he wore a tailored navy blue suit, the jacket slightly open to reveal a crisp white shirt and a slim black tie, perfectly knotted. His polished shoes clicked authoritatively against the pavement as he waited for a traffic light to change. Unbeknownst to Marcus, his day was about to take a harrowing turn. Two police officers, Patrolman Richard Hayes and Sergeant John Caldwell, white men in their mid-40s, were cruising the block in their squad car. Hayes, a rugged man with a thick mustache and a permanent scowl, glanced out the window with suspicion. Caldwell, clean-shaven with a cold, piercing gaze, tapped his fingers anxiously on the steering wheel. "That guy," Hayes muttered, nodding toward Marcus, "looks like trouble." "Yeah," Caldwell agreed, eyes narrowing. "Let's see what he's up to." Without cause or warning, the officers pulled their car to the curb and stepped out, their heavy boots thudding ominously on the asphalt. Hayes and Caldwell approached Marcus aggressively, their hands hovering near their holstered weapons. "Hey, stop right there!" Hayes barked, his voice harsh and commanding. Marcus paused, raising his hands slowly in a gesture of peace. "Is there a problem, officers?" Caldwell sneered. "You know why we're stopping you. Hands where we can see them." Marcus's eyes flickered with calm resolve. "I'm just waiting for the light. There's no problem." But the officers' minds were clouded with bias. Without listening, Hayes suddenly drew his pistol, aiming it directly at Marcus. Caldwell followed suit, weapon drawn, eyes blazing with hostility. "Don't move! Hands up!" Caldwell shouted, voice trembling with anger. Passers-by gasped and began pulling out their phones. The tension in the air grew thick as the moment froze into a snapshot of racial injustice. Marcus slowly raised his hands higher, palms open, refusing to give them any reason to escalate. His heart pounded, but his voice remained steady. "I'm cooperating. Please don't shoot." Murmurs spread as pedestrians recorded the incident on their smartphones, their faces etched with shock and fear. Within moments, the video was live, circulating across social media platforms, sparking outrage and disbelief. Unbeknownst to the officers, Marcus Bennett was no ordinary man. A decorated Pentagon official specializing in national security, he had spent years protecting the country. His dignity, training, and calm under pressure were a testament to his character. The video reached the Pentagon's upper echelons within hours. General Angela Morrison, a formidable figure with decades of military experience, watched the footage with growing anger. She immediately contacted the Arlington Police Department's chief. "This behavior is unacceptable," she stated firmly. "We demand a full investigation and immediate suspension of the officers involved." The pressure was relentless. The Arlington Police Department swiftly placed Hayes and Caldwell on administrative leave pending investigation. Internal Affairs launched a thorough inquiry examining body cam footage, witness testimonies, and the viral video. Public outcry intensified, fueled by protests demanding justice and accountability. Under the glare of scrutiny, Hayes and Caldwell attempted to justify their actions, citing unfounded suspicions. But the evidence was clear. Their actions were racially motivated, reckless, and inexcusable. In a tense hearing, both officers faced disciplinary boards. Hayes's scowl deepened. Caldwell's cold glare faltered under the weight of truth. The board recommended termination, a verdict upheld by the police chief. News spread quickly. Two racist officers fired for gross misconduct. Careers ended. Marcus Bennett, though shaken, emerged with his dignity intact. He addressed the public in a calm, heartfelt statement. We must confront the injustice that persists in our institutions. Today, accountability has been served, but the fight for equality and respect must continue. His words resonated widely, inspiring many. In the days that followed, Arlington witnessed a renewed commitment to reform, training programs addressing bias, and community dialogues aimed at healing. The incident remained a stark reminder of the power of courage, dignity, and the imperative to stand against injustice. As the smoke cleared from the sudden gunfire, the city street held its breath. Marcus Bennett stood frozen for a moment, hands still raised, heart pounding in his chest. The sharp report of the pistols echoed against the buildings, but mercifully, he was unharmed. The officers lowered their weapons, their faces flushed with adrenaline and anger. Around them, people paused in shock. Some gasped aloud. Others instinctively reached for their phones. A young woman across the street quickly began recording, her voice trembling as she whispered, "They're shooting at him." Why? The crowd thickened. Whispers turned to murmurs, murmurs to outrage. Passers-by stepped closer, some shouting, others pleading for calm. Marcus's mind raced. He knew that every second counted, not just for his safety, but for the truth to be heard. Despite the fear gnawing at him, he spoke calmly to the officers. "I'm not a threat. I'm a Pentagon official," he said clearly, showing his ID badge. His voice was steady but firm. Officer Hayes scoffed, barely glancing at the identification. "We don't care who you are. You look suspicious." The words stung more than the gunfire. Suspicion born of bias, aimed like a dagger. Witnesses nearby had already begun uploading the video footage online, instantly igniting a firestorm. The clip showed the officers' weapons drawn, pointed, and firing as Marcus stood with hands raised, completely unarmed and peaceful. Within minutes, the hashtag number sign Justice for Marcus started trending. Screens across the country lit up with anger, disbelief, and calls for accountability. Meanwhile, at the Pentagon headquarters, General Angela Morrison summoned her trusted aide. "This is unacceptable," she declared, her voice sharp. "Marcus has served this country with honor. We will not stand by while he is subjected to such blatant racism." Her assistant nodded, already drafting the urgent message to the Arlington Police Department demanding immediate action. Back on the street, the tension simmered but did not dissipate. Marcus was ushered away by other officers arriving on scene, this time with a far different demeanor, respectful and professional. A news crew arrived, cameras rolling as reporters began capturing the reactions of stunned bystanders. One elderly man, voice shaking, said, "I've lived here all my life, and I've never seen anything like this. It's wrong, pure wrong." A teenage boy holding a phone added, "We have to make sure this doesn't happen again. People need to see what's really going on." Within hours, the Arlington police chief issued a public statement. We are deeply troubled by the incident involving Officers Hayes and Caldwell. We have placed both officers on administrative leave pending a full investigation. We are committed to transparency and justice. But for many, the statement was too little, too late. Protests erupted around the city. Hundreds gathered, holding signs that read "End Police Racism" and "Protect All Citizens." Chanting filled the air, voices raised in a unified call for change. Marcus, recovering at home, watched the events unfold on television. Despite the trauma, his resolve hardened. He knew this was bigger than him. It was a fight for dignity, respect, and the soul of a nation. Meanwhile, internal affairs investigators combed through evidence, body cam footage, witness testimonies, and the viral videos flooding social media. They uncovered a disturbing pattern. Both Hayes and Caldwell had prior complaints related to excessive force and racially biased behavior that were ignored or dismissed. General Morrison personally reached out to Arlington's mayor, demanding systemic reforms and accountability. The mayor, facing mounting pressure, pledged to overhaul police training and improve community relations. In the weeks that followed, Marcus became a reluctant but powerful spokesperson for justice and reform. At a press conference, he addressed the nation. "This experience has shown me the harsh reality many face every day. But it also shows that change is possible when we stand together. I urge our leaders and communities to work towards a future where no one lives in fear of those sworn to protect them." His words resonated, inspiring dialogues across cities, campuses, and workplaces. The officers, Hayes and Caldwell, were formally charged with misconduct and racial discrimination. After thorough hearings, they were dismissed from the force. Their careers ended by their own hatred and recklessness. Arlington police began mandatory training on racial sensitivity and community policing. Town hall meetings brought officers and residents together, breaking down walls of mistrust. Though the road ahead was long, Marcus's story sparked a movement, a beacon for justice and human dignity. The days after the public outrage and protests brought a heavy quietness to Marcus's apartment. The constant buzz of notifications and news alerts reminded him of the storm he had been thrust into, but inside, he craved a moment of peace. His phone rang, a call from General Angela Morrison. "Marcus, I wanted to personally thank you for your strength." Her voice was firm, yet warm. "You've done more for this cause in these few days than most could in a lifetime." "I'm just trying to do what's right," Marcus replied, "but it's hard. I keep thinking about the officers. How did it come to this? What made them see me as a threat?" General Morrison paused. "Institutional bias runs deep. It's not just them, it's the system. That's why this isn't just about you or these two officers. It's about changing the entire culture." Marcus sighed. "I want to help, but sometimes I feel the weight of it all." "Lean on your community," she encouraged. "And remember, change starts with brave individuals like you." At the police department, Hayes sat alone in an interrogation room. His once proud demeanor had crumbled under mounting evidence. His thick mustache seemed out of place on a man drowning in regret. Across from him, Internal Affairs Lieutenant Sarah Collins laid out the case. "Your previous complaints, the video, witness statements. There's no question. Your actions were not only against protocol, but fueled by bias. This department will not tolerate that." Hayes spat back, "I was just doing my job." "Your job is to protect and serve, Not intimidate and discriminate, Collins said coldly. Meanwhile, in a community center, Marcus held a town hall meeting. Residents gathered to share stories, fears, and hopes. An older woman spoke. I lost my son to police violence 10 years ago. Hearing your story, Marcus, gives me hope that maybe things can change. A young man added, we need more conversations like this, where officers and civilians can truly listen. Marcus nodded. Change won't happen overnight. But together, we can make this city safer and fairer for everyone. The day of the disciplinary hearing arrived. The courtroom was packed. Reporters jostled for space as Marcus took the stand, his voice steady but filled with emotion. I stood there with my hands raised, not because I was guilty, but because I was innocent. Innocent of any crime other than being who I am. Today, I ask this board to hold these officers accountable, not just for me, but for all who suffer in silence. The officers looked down as the verdict was read. Termination for both Hayes and Caldwell. Outside the courtroom, Marcus faced a crowd of supporters. A reporter asked, "What's next for you?" Marcus smiled gently. I will continue fighting. For justice, for equality, for the dignity every person deserves. Months later, Arlington's streets were quieter, but charged with a newfound hope. Community programs flourished, and police training emphasized empathy and respect. Marcus walked the same corner where he once faced guns, but now greeted familiar faces with warmth. He knew the journey was far from over, but with every step, the city moved closer to justice. The courtroom emptied slowly. The heavy weight of justice settled in the air. Marcus stood outside, the bright sunlight warming his face as he breathed deeply. Reporters and supporters surrounded him, their faces hopeful, their voices eager. A young activist approached, holding a handmade sign that read, "Justice for all." She looked up at Marcus with admiration. Your courage inspired us all. Thank you for standing strong. Marcus smiled warmly. This victory isn't just mine. It belongs to everyone who believes in fairness and change. That evening, Marcus sat with his family in his modest living room. The walls echoed with laughter and stories, a sharp contrast to the tension of recent weeks. His mother reached out, squeezing his hand. You showed strength and grace, she said softly. We're so proud of you. Marcus nodded, eyes shining. I did what I had to do for myself and for those who can't. Meanwhile, at the Arlington Police Department, a new era began. A fresh batch of recruits underwent rigorous training, not just in tactics, but in empathy, cultural understanding, and community partnership. Chief Reynolds addressed them. This is more than a job. It's a responsibility to protect every citizen with respect and integrity. Months later, Marcus returned to the same busy corner where it all began. This time, he wasn't just a passerby, he was part of a community healing. A group of officers and residents gathered in a park nearby, sharing stories and building trust. Marcus looked around, seeing hopeful faces, determined hearts. He knew the road ahead was long, but for the first time, he felt a true sense of progress. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over Arlington, Marcus whispered to himself, "This is just the beginning."